Okay, hello and welcome. Today we're going to go over my template that I've been using almost every day as a full-time traveling musician. So I wanted to share this video because a lot of you have showed interest in how I'm looping, and it might not make a lot of sense just looking at the screen, but we're going to break everything down in this video. So let's get started. First off, I want to say that I found Loopy Pro while being on these Virgin Voyages cruises. Some other musicians were using this system, and I was like, I don't know, I don't need that. And it looked complex at first, but over time, as I was traveling more and more, and I was using a traditional pedal board with, you know, a looper on it, guitar effects, all this stuff, and I've had issues in the past with my pedal board and traveling so much that I went back and revisited this concept, and it solved a lot of problems for me, and this is why. So why do you need Loopy Pro anyways? Loopy Pro solved a lot of problems for me, like I said, and these are the reasons why I switched over to this system. So first off, because I'm a multi-instrumentalist, I was having audio routing issues. Most of the looping pedals are only stereo, so what I would do back then would put my guitar into the left channel, say, and then my violin into the right channel or whatever. And so I have two mono signals, which was fine. But as I wanted to expand and grow, I was like, oh, what if I wanted to loop my vocals? So then I would need to think about, okay, maybe I have to add a mixer before the looper, and so it just would add complexity. Loopy Pro, you can do anything you want. It's all on the iPad, and we'll get to that in a bit. Another thing is audio control. So this means for each instrument, it would just have, there'd be so much complexity that in my mind, I would say, oh, I want to EQ maybe my drums. Back then, I would be playing drums on my guitar like this, hitting my guitar or whatever. And but for the drum guitar, I wanted a different EQ than I wanted for my just regular playing. And of course, maybe a different EQ for like the electric guitar sound or whatever. But with what I had before, it was very complex and much more difficult to have all that. With Loopy Pro, you have much more control over each sound that you want to create, and that's very important here. So another thing, as a full-time traveling musician, I am always worrying about my weight. So these constraints made I told myself I could only have this pedal board of this size. Anything bigger, I couldn't add anything more than this. Part of that constraint was the Pelican case that I carry all my music gear in is a specific size. I got it specifically to carry my violin. My violin is a certain length. Actually, the length of my bow was pretty much the constraint. So I have a Pelican 1615 Air case, which works perfect for the violin, and then everything kind of fits around that. And so the Loopy Pro system breaks down into small little pieces, which makes it much easier to travel with. My pedal board did fit in that same box, but it felt way heavier, and I had to pay overweight charges on that box many times. So now it's within the 23 kilogram or 50-pound weight limit that I don't have to pay overage charges usually. So something else that Loopy Pro really solved for me was functionality. Everything that I use for Loopy Pro can be used for my recording also, and I do. Some of the last few songs that I've released and recorded, all just in hotel rooms or cruise rooms just like this, I've recorded with this exact same system. Just instead of plugged into my iPad, I just plug this one USB cable into my laptop and use Ableton to record in there. Of course, you can use your iPad to do all the recording and whatnot if you want. I just am used to Ableton for my recordings. So that's, I think, very cool. Instead of just having the pedal board have one function for your live performances, now you can use the same equipment for recording and other aspects and other things you can use for audio. And I think that's very, very cool. Before we dive deep into my template, I think it's important to show you what I had before I switched over to Loopy Pro. And that's important so you understand my mindset on how I got to this template. And I think it's maybe a good lesson for you to understand how to switch over from whatever pedalboard system or whatever looper you're using now, and that you can pretty much emulate your pedalboard into Loopy Pro, and so it would have the same functionality that you're used to. So I'll show you a picture of my pedalboard before. As you can see, I'm using a looper. My looper is a Boomerang V3 phrase sampler. I had a neural quad cortex for my guitar and violin effects. And I also used it as my mixer to mix down everything into the left-right signal. I also had a Strymon timeline for delay effects. I really like that delay pedal. And then I have a Morningstar MIDI control pedal, which allowed me to just push one button and it would change the presets on the quad cortex and on the Strymon timeline together at the same time. So I wouldn't have to push one button on that and one button here, whatever, go up banks on the Strymon timeline. So it was really nice, and that introduced me to understanding how MIDI can control different aspects of your performance. And that's important with Loopy Pro also, understanding MIDI. So what was important is that I was able to take all the functionality of my pedalboard and translate it into Loopy Pro, and I think that's what you should do. I'm going to show you how I did it. Okay guys, here's the main attraction. What you can do is download my template in the description below, and then we can go over this together. So once you've downloaded on your iPad, you can see there's a bunch of stuff happening, but to the left you're going to see the inputs. So everything on this left side says mic 1, mic 2, Koala, violin, and all the bits all the way down to vocal effects on the very bottom are just input controls, which is very cool. I made it deliberately just easy this way so I could look at it visually and go like, okay, I know what's happening. So really this first button, you'll see mic 1. If I just push it, it turns my mic off. So I push it again, turns my mic back on. Pretty simple, right? That's the same thing for mic 2, mic 3. So for Koala, that's my drum. So if I just push that, put that away. These are my drum samples. And I can play these just like this. I'm going to show you later how you can do it you can just program anything using MIDI. So what's cool about Koala is it's its own separate program that you can use within Loopy Pro, and we'll get into that later. So let me exit out of that. And then, of course, the violin. So here we go. The violin's on. The violin's off. Easy as that. That's very simple. Underneath that, right under that, you'll see that there's actually these little bars, and that's the volumes for each. So they're very tiny, right? I can make it go down and up. They're very tiny because I have them connected to this MIDI controller up here. So I can control them with these knobs. I just have it set that way. That's the way I like it. Anyways, and yes, you can program them to be any of these buttons or knobs. That's the beauty of MIDI. You can just have anything control anything. Anyways, so that's that. Volumes. Underneath that are the bus channels. So if you want more reverb, then I can add more reverb right here, just like that. I don't have these connected to any of the knobs right now. I also have delay here, so I can turn that up and down. Right, so it's nice having a little bit of reverb and delay, and it's just right at my fingertips. We could talk about this later, but you could also automate these. So if you wanted, say, you wanted a certain song that had, maybe you like different points where these are for certain songs, and they could just snap to whatever you want. Right now I don't have that happening, and maybe I'll set that up later, but I just have a regular, for every song I just use it normally. Okay, so same thing with the violin. I have, violin delay, violin reverb. I also have drum reverb, and you can have these bus channels just like a regular DAW. You can have these set up like that. Underneath that are my guitar presets. So what I have here are different guitars. So this is my bass, and I can just turn all those off. I have it set up so only one of these can be on at a time, and I'll show you how to do that. See, watch. So this is my guitar. And then I have this like a muff sound. I'm experimenting with this like rotary sound. Isn't that nice? So yeah, that's my guitar, and I can just push it like that. I also have those programmed to these 8 buttons here. What's cool about these encoders, right, is they actually push down. So what I do is I can choose presets just pushing these buttons, and then at the same time they turn the volumes up and down. So each song, sometimes I'm like, I want a little bit more or a little bit less. So I can just, in the middle of a song or before the song or whatever, I can adjust the volume on the fly just with these encoders. That's why it's a bit nicer to have physical controls for certain things. That's important. Okay, underneath that are my violin controls. I don't have those mapped to anything right now, because I don't usually change these too often. I'm pretty much 99% on just the regular violin preset. I'll show you. That just sounds like this. Right? This is a delay one I made. And this is a little fuzz. Oh. So I double click this and it's on the tuner. But it's really hot. Whoa. That's cool, right? So that's another AUV3 plugin called Primo. And then the last one I have a little bass. Well, it's called bass, but it actually it makes the violin sound like a cello more. Yeah, very cool, right? So, underneath that, I have the, don't worry about the banks right now. I turned those off. I had it for a different MIDI controller, and I just left those banks there because I thought I could use them for something else. But so those don't function right now. Anyways, right under that are my vocal effects. I just been starting to experiment with this, and I really like this idea. So check this out. So while I'm performing, if I wanted to do something like this. So there's like a ping pong vocal effect from the left to right. I also have this different one. What about this? That's very cool. And then this. It's really cool to have these. This is the really cool thing about Loopy Pro is you can have these XY pads and they control different things. So the intensity may be lower down here, and then as I sweep up, it can go increase and increase. That is the beauty of having a controller, having the iPad as a controller, having a touch screen. The difference between Loopy Pro and having something like Ableton Live on your regular laptop is this is the biggest difference, is you actually have touchscreen control over aspects of your performance. So the next section we're going to look at is this bit. Okay, so this block kind of on the top right. So mainly this is where the loops are. So my loops are the orange, the yellow, the lime, and the blue squares right here. They're usually circles. You'll see a Loopy Pro. Most people use these circles. I wanted to kind of have a tighter, a tighter looking fit. So they're just kind of rectangles. And these are directly correlated to my Midi foot pedal here. They're the same colors. I have them lit up the same way. So around that, you will also see undo, overdub, master fade out, play stop, clear all, peel. Those are all connected in the same order with the same colors to my Midi foot pedal, which is the Paint Audio Midi Captain. Really, all this stuff here is emulating the Boomerang V3 phrase sampler that I was using before on my old pedal board. Very cool. And so I can clear all, stop. So and then underneath this, these are just the volumes for each loop. So say I have a drum sample, I can actually adjust the volume here. I also have it set up if I want to fade out, I can just double tap these. It's very intuitive. I think it's very cool. That's what's cool about Loopy Pro. Okay, reset that. So above those controls, above undo, overdub, master fade are my tempo controls. So these are kind of like master controls over the session that you're gonna do. And then I have master mute. Let's just push that. Again, this is my master volume. Very easy. This is my click track volume, so I'll do this again. And then we'll just turn it down. You can hear the click. And then I can turn the click track up and down, or all the way down if I wanted. So right next to that is my headphone volume. I can adjust the volume in my ears. So around that, I have a tuner button. I can just push this, and it brings up a tuner just for my guitar. You can add another button for if you have multiple instruments like I do. You can have another button for another tuner. Easy as that. And then right next to that, I have a save button. So if you make any changes, it's good to save it. So if you didn't, what you can do, and I think a very, very cool thing about Loopy Pro is that you could make a session, a whole new session for every song that you want in your library. If you want to, if you do it a certain way, you could have preset drums for whatever. I mean, it's actually really amazing. Anyways, I'm getting off track. That's all the master controls around the looping controls. So these are just the functions of a regular looper, a four loop looper. And again, you could keep on adding more loops if you wanted. Very cool. So right underneath that is I have these four XY pads. These are cool because I have them set up to be only work on the output of the loops before they go out to the speaker. So I'm going to show you what I mean. These all operate in different ways. I'm still experimenting with these. So you can do it however you want. If you want, but I have this one do this. That's cool, huh? Okay, so this is another one called Transit 2. I think these are really cool for transitional effects. Okay, so this is a looperator. Yeah, this is just a EQ sweep, so. Yeah. Isn't that cool? So really, I think it might look difficult, but really it's just breaking down your own pedal board into something that you recognize and that functions just like your pedal board, just now you're using Loopy Pro. Okay. Okay, now that we got an overview of what you're seeing on my screen, on my template, let's go behind the scenes. What we're going to do is push this little button on the bottom left, and this is the mixer, and that's going to pop up this other screen. This is really cool because you're going to probably recognize this if you ever worked in recording software. Any other DAW has the same function. It has a linear bar for each channel. So let's go to the audio inputs. You're going to see that audio in the very first one right here. At the bottom, you'll see I named it Mic 1, and that is the channel on my audio interface that's plugged into this microphone I'm speaking on right now. So at the top of that channel, you're going to see, if I just push that, you can change the name of it here. Monitoring, that means you can hear it through the monitor. Yeah, so you can hear it through the monitor and monitor through, and this is the channel. These are the channels that you will be able to hear it through. So 11 and 12 are my headphone mix. 1 and 2 are the main outputs. Yep, and then the input channel on my audio interface, it's input 1. So that's it. Right underneath that, you're going to see sources. You don't see that. Underneath that is effects, and these are where I put all the effects. For instance, I'm using this Xbox. I'm using this Xbox AUV3 plugin just to add some extra sauce. You don't have to use it. You can turn it off on the top right like this, so you can see the difference between and what this plugin is doing to my vocals. Now I'm going to turn it back on. So I like this because it's a simple way to just add some extra sauce to my vocals. Underneath that, I have a few things that are darkened out. I've been experimenting with different ways to do things. I do have a Pro Q3 Fab filter. This is a pro level EQ app you can use on your desktop DAW, but now you can also download it and use it within your Loopy Pro setup, which I think is crazy. This is what I'm talking about before as far as audio control. Now I have surgical precision over each sound and how I want them to be EQ'd, or you can also do dynamics with some compression and whatever you want. But it's all live. You can use it live. So I just have it on this vocal lead 3 preset. It's a dynamic under the dynamic mix. So vocal 3 lead. Easy as that. So that's the vocals. So each one of these signals you'll see is set up that way. All my guitar signals. So say I have my guitar. I'm pushing on my Midi pad here. You can see that it's controlling the mute on and off. If I pick a different preset, it'll automatically mute the other one. Yeah, cool, right? And then whatever preset I want for these, this is a tone stack MIDI from my guitar. AUV3 plugin. It's like it's like having a virtual pedal board at your fingertips. Very, very cool. Okay, what else can we go over? So, let's go back to mic 1. Underneath the effects, those are pre-fader effects. So before you get to the volume fader. So these are post-fader effects. So that'd be after. You could put after the volume knob effects. Underneath that are destinations. So this is where it's important. Before I showed you where you push that. These colors are your loops. So again, I showed you before, my orange, yellow, lime, and blue. These are only my orange ones, so only my vocals will be looped through the orange loop. I don't use, it's nice because then if I'm talking, if I'm singing, and I'm looping something in the lime one, it won't loop my vocals. It's very cool. So again, I want the signal also at the same time going out to 1 and 2. That's the main outputs. So when I'm just singing and playing my guitar, it's gonna come out the main outputs when I'm talking. And 11 and 12 are my in-ears, so I can hear myself also. And then underneath that, we have the sends. These will go to the buses, and these are the buses here. So I have like my vocal reverb and my vocal delay, and these are these little, you'll see these little guys, those are correlated with these on the canvas. So when I'm turning my mic reverb up, that is just turning this mic reverb up, and I'll show you how to control all those. So each one of these channels, let me turn the reverb back down. Oh my God. Okay, so yeah, see how I can just turn this up and down like this? Doing this live it's kind of tedious because it's small on the screen. So you can do it on the canvas here, and you can make it any size you want, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, back to the mixer. So each channel I have for that. So what's cool about the guitar channels is I have each one of my guitar channels is a separate strip. So this is my regular, you'll see here, my acoustic strum channel. It's going on input 3. Yep. And then it's going through the tuner I showed you earlier, right? And then all these effects. I just have some simple acoustic comp and EQ, and this duplicator's not on, and then some reverb there. And then I also have EQ, just to cut off the low end. Maybe I'll make it a little bit. Yeah, nice. Yep. Right? Let's say I wanted to now have a different. Okay, so if I wanted to switch to a different one, I have these all coming in on 3, on the physical input 3 on my interface. But I only have one channel on at a time. So really, you could have multiple guitar channels going on at the same time, but it might sound like a mess. So the way I have my guitar presets set up is just like this. Nice and easy. I want some bass. So you can have as many as you want. You could keep on adding more and more. That's why I think Loopy Pro is great. On a regular pedal board, it would be much more difficult to add more effects. This way, I can have 100 different channels if I wanted, just for my guitar. Anyways, and you see I have my guitar channels going only to the yellow and lime, also to the output channel, the main channel 1 and 2, and 11 and 12 for my ears. So yeah, yellow and lime, my blue I use for my drums. So I'll show you that. You're gonna see here the plugins part. You'll notice before we get into that we have these MIDI channels. I've been experimenting with MIDI, but I haven't fully implemented it yet. So ignore these 2 MIDI things. You can mess around with that if you like. The way I have it set up is having Koala here as a plugin. So if you want to add more plugins and more things, you can just add audio unit instrument like this and add Koala or whatever. Right now we have it open. We can make a separate video on Koala if you like. The way I have it set up are you just drag and drop your own samples in here. Koala does have samples in there. And the way I have it set up is I went into the settings, set up MIDI, and then I mapped the MIDI to the MIDI controller I have right here, the little MIDI pad I have. So that now I can control each one just like that. Very cool. And then the same thing, I have the drums. I could add effects if I wanted to. I haven't yet. Going down, and it's going to my blue. The output is the blue, so only the drums will go to the blue channel, blue looping channel. Okay, so you'll see behind here are the colors. These are all the loops, and you'll see on the outputs that they are all off. I could have them going to 1 and 2, but what I did instead was I made over here, you'll see F. These are the output effects. So I have a send, very confusing right now, but one of these sends is the out effects. Those are turned all the way up. So the signal is going from out of the looping into and skipping the out 1 plus 2 and 11 plus 12. I turn those off directly, and the signal's going directly through the F bus, and then the F bus is going to 1 and 2. And so what I showed you before, these are the 4. You have BA1, the Looperator, the Transit 2, and the Pro Q3. Those are these 4 XY pads here, right? So when they're off, it's not going to change anything. The signal just goes from the loops through this channel and out. So it still goes the same way, but I wanted to have the controls over all 4 loops. So that's the way to do it. Okay, and the most important part, another thing, this is the main output channel. So I have a few output things that I put on there. I was testing this kind of, what do you call it, like an EQ channel strip. And then I also have this Punch Lab, just a sonic enhancer type plugin that just adds a little bit more oomph. So here, I'll play a little drum pad. So you can hear that now. I'll push this button, turn it off. Let me turn off my guitar. Okay, so that's drums. That's with this sonic enhancer off. Let's turn it back on. Yeah, it just gives a little bit of oomph to it. Let's see, and then I have this barricade. It's not really doing anything right now. It's supposed to be a limiter. I haven't really messed around with it too much. So, anyways, yeah. You can mess around with the output. And then I also have a total EQ on the output. So it's just cutting off the very, very low signal. So it doesn't have any boominess. Yeah. So anyways, I think overall, once you understand the layout, it's pretty simple. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the canvas, and I'm just going to show you how you can make my canvas your own. So for instance, what we're going to do is, if you want to make any changes to the canvas, press the pencil button, and you're going to see it change into this screen. You can resize things by kind of highlighting something and then moving around with these little 4 things. If you have a Apple Pencil like this, sometimes I find it's easier to control the little squares and stuff like that. Yeah. So if you want to highlight a few things and then move them around, you can do that. You can also just go backwards like that if you made a mistake. So like I said, you can resize things, you can move things around, you can change the colors, everything. So say you want to change the color let's change the functionality of this button. What you do is you just push it. And then these are all the controls you have. So what's really cool about Loopy Pro is one button can do multiple things. Man, there's so much functionality. He really thought of a lot of stuff. So this means if you press something, when you press this means when you push this button, I have it set up so it's going to mute. It's going to toggle between mute and unmute an audio source. That's on the mixer. That's muting the channel. So you can look at this this setup and kind of rework what you want this button to do on your pedalboard emulation. Something I do to make it light up the way I want it to is sometimes I press this gear button, and if you want feedback, make sure it's on one of these. I choose all actions. I think that's the thing that's worked for me. You can also just disable it so it doesn't light up at all, right? So you just, yeah. I like it. I like to know that it's on or off. So I will have, I will have all actions. And of course you can change the font size. You can have it, yeah, look a different way. But say you wanted to double tap it and have it mute it. You can have it set up that way. You can also just hold this. You can copy the clipboard. And then say you want it to double tap. You just push here. Now, get out of that. Now when I double tap it, it'll also do it. It's good. Double tapping is sometimes good for, like, I have it for a fade. So for these, I have it fade. If I just, because sometimes you can just accidentally touch it. And if that happens, then it can cause problems. So if you want sometimes to be more intentional, you can do double taps, or you can do a swipe. You can do so many things with just one of these buttons. Swipe up, swipe down, swipe left, swipe yeah, 2 buttons. So so I have it pretty simple. Long swipe, yeah, you can add so much functionality just to 1 button at a time. So I think you're going to have to figure out what you want your looper to be. You can obviously delete things, move things around, just test it. Oh, I forgot to... so pencil icon, you can go through each one of these and see what it does. And if that makes sense, let me know in the comments. Yeah, especially for these, right? So for my guitar presets, what I have is mute, unmute. It's a toggle, right, for each of the guitar channels. So it'll mute every single other guitar channel and unmute just the one that you want it to unmute. Same thing. So now it's just going down the line. This one for my guitar strumming, it's muting and unmuting the strum channel. That's what you name it, whatever you named it. So then the next one, I have the rotary channel. That one's unmuted, and you can notice that every other guitar channel is muted. So that's how you program that. This is kind of like you're doing kind of, I don't want to say computer programming, but you're programming it however you like it to function. And sometimes you just have to do it by trial and error. And yeah, come back with any questions if you have any. Okay. Some things I want to note. I want to let you know. The 4 loops, you can actually just swipe up on the screen, and you have access to all of these different controls while you're performing. You can change while you're performing. You can change these things. Obviously, you could just program these things as buttons or knobs on the screen separately. So if you actually do that a lot, you can do that. But yeah, swipe up. A lot of these controls you can just control everything. You can control with your fingers. Obviously, if you want to clear, you can just swipe down. You can control the tempo. I have these buttons where I can control the tempo up and down. What I think is cool is there's sometimes where I will have one song be a certain tempo. I'll have like, so maybe I'll have that for one song. I'll be, but maybe I like the same beat for the next song, but just I need it to be slower, so I can just go like this before the next song. And I can slow down the tempo. It's kind of like a nice, cool transitional effect. I think that's what's cool. You can, and then you can bring the tempo back up if you want. Okay, one thing I wanted to make a note of is these 3 lines up here. These are your master controls. So let's go over these real fast. Some of these you'll want to change. These are the controls I have set up right now, and I believe you'll have the same ones. You might want to change these depending on how you loop, and that will just come from trial and error. So you will have to figure out which of these controls you want to change. But something important that I think is nice, if you, for instance, if you use lyrics, you can see that it's taking up the entire, Loopy Pro is taking up the entire screen. So say you want to have lyrics side by side or behind it. What I would do, these are my, I would have play in background. if you have lyrics or another something behind the scenes, I would have play in the background. So you can have this play in the background on, right? So then we're going to bring the drums back in. You can pull up Ultimate Guitar or whatever lyrics you use, and Loopy Pro will still perform in the background. So say you want, you know, whatever song that you want. Yeah. You can bring that up in the background and then, you know, for the lyrics or whatever. Or you can bring it side by side if you want to just resize the windows, whatever you want. Oh, that noise is reminding me. Oh. Okay, so now you can have lyrics on the side just like this. Okay, so that noise that you're hearing is, if you push this little button on the bottom right, you're gonna see what each plugin, how much DPS or digital signal processing it's using. So if it goes above a certain threshold, you're going to start hearing some digital artifacts or digital noise. Let's turn this off. So I think that's, you should be careful of that. That is pretty much your only limitation here is the DSP. You're going to start getting weird sounds if you have too many effects or too many AA3 three plugins happening at the same time that take a lot of load on the DSP or the digital signal process or the processor that you have in your iPad. That's why I got the M5. It's the the most robust chipset that Apple makes right now, and so you can get an iPad. I had an iPad Mini before this, but the what I was trying to do was not working eventually with the DSP statistics, so I upgraded. So depending on what you want to do, if you want to keep it really simple, you could even use your iPhone. You could use your iPhone with Loopy Pro and do things. You just have to keep it more simple and not so heavy with the effects. Okay. You just have to test it out. Let's see. Back to the master controls, control settings. These will show you the MIDI devices. So I'm using a Babyface Pro FS. It also has a MIDI port. So say it has a traditional MIDI 5-DIN controller port, a breakout cable actually. So what you can do with that is many of the old school keyboards. So if you play keyboard, you can, instead of using USB, you can connect it via this 5-pin DIN MIDI controller. Very cool. So you have control over MIDI piano or MIDI keyboard through that controller, and Loopy Pro will detect it. It's very cool. You have you can change project profiles. You can change your MIDI control profiles. It's very, very intuitive. Clock settings. So this is where you can pick your metronome. I could pick your metronome and then pick the volume of your metronome. You can pick a different metronome sound. I just picked number 1. And then pick the output channel. 11 and 12 is the channel for my my headphones, my in-ears. Now, this is how to set up your MIDI devices to use with Loopy Pro. So what you want to do is go to the top 3 lines on the top right, just like we did to set up the system settings. But now you can go to MIDI Learn. All right, now we're in the MIDI Learn section. This is how you map any MIDI device to any of the controls on your screen. So what you want to do is pick. Okay, I'll so this one. So I have it set up already, so I'll just exit out of it and show you how it works. So learn, just push learn. I'm going to push the button that I want, and it detects it. And the action, have it press. Right, so now what you want to do is close out of this and make sure that it's working. Yep, see? Yep. So that's all you have to do. Go here, MIDI learn, pick the button that you want it to control. So let's go over doing one for the Paint Audio MIDI Captain. So I have it already mapped, so I'll exit out of that so you don't. So just push learn. It's gonna listen. Oh. It's listening for the event. I push the button and you'll see it detects it. That's it. And if you wanted to, it can do other things. So maybe, so for hold, I do this. You just hold it, and you can, and it'll do it. So you can also just push that and see all the controls. Hold, on, off. You can double tap. Very cool. So one button you can do multiple things. If I double tap it, I can have it do something else. Okay, and that's easy as that. Ask me if you have any questions, comments. Explore my template as you will, and ask me in the comments below, and I'll try to answer any of your questions. All right, cheers. Enjoy.